Entering the Pat Mayo Experience.
Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Pat Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. Wednesday, live chat. I got the final card, the DraftKings breakdown, and the weather reports, plus some strategy and tips. If you're watching this after the fact, hit the time codes if you want to jump to the section that you want. Although we do the same formula every single week for the live chat. Do the picks, do the DraftKings, do the weather, do the chat. That simple. Roll it out pretty easily. Remember to smash the like button for the episode to make sure that these chats remain free of charge. And also, if you just want to watch this after the fact or just listen to it on your phone, go to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast and download and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience. It's that easy on whatever podcast provider that you're currently on. If you're on Apple, rate it 5 stars. Please. Goes a long way to just helping people find this show. Spread the show around. Also, if you're going to be looking for these chats in the future, or the golf shows, or the football shows, or the UFC shows, what you need to do is go to the description of this podcast or of this video. And if you're listening to the podcast version, go to the description of the podcast. You will find a link to the Mayo Media Network. Click on that. Subscribe to that channel because the Pat Mayo Experience will start populating there. Not like tomorrow, but sometime very soon. And you don't want to miss out on the shows when they start dropping because we have a ton of awesome stuff planned. DraftKings strategy. We have the Win Totals NFL show, the golf shows every single week. We got 2 majors in the next 2 months. Don't forget about that. Besides the FedEx Cup playoffs, plus the Dogger Pass podcast, the UFC pick show, the most profitable show on the Mayo Media Network. I can already guarantee you that right now. So please go subscribe to that. Help me out just a little bit. Appreciate it. All right. Final card for the week. I should probably tell you that you can get 20% off at fantasynational.com. Stats, tools, whatever you need. Lineup generator, simulator, ownership projections. When I'm referencing the ownership projections today, they'll be from fantasynational.com. Use fantasynational.com/Mayo and get yourself 20% off today. We got playoff events. The golf isn't stopping anytime soon, so there's going to be contests and stuff to bet on every single week. So you'll probably want to get that 20% off discount code. Picks for the Northern Trust. I tried to keep it in one in each range kind of thing, and I missed everyone below 20-1. So what I'm doing is I talked about it earlier in the week. If you have DraftKings Sportsbook, you can grab this at 25. I unfortunately do not have access to that, so I had to grab it at 22-1, but I'm going with Colin Morikawa again. He's already won for me twice since the restart. He's still not priced up at like 14 or 12-1 like all of the other favorites. This is a primo ball striking course, so Colin Morikawa, welcome back to the card, 22-1. Then I'm going to Patrick Reed like apparently everyone else. I thought I was like sneaky, be like, no one's going to bet Patrick Reed. Turns out everyone's betting Patrick Reed to win this week. 30-1 for me. I went with Hideki Matsuyama, 45-1. Tyrrell Hatton, 66-1 with a top 5 each way. Justin Rose, Justin Rose. This is going to be fun fucking once again. 66-1. The number just got so big. If I liked him at 22 last week, and even though he missed the cut, he played better on Friday, I'm going back to Rose. 66-1 with the top 5 each way. And Matthew Wolff, the Wolfman, 70-1 with the top 5 each way. Made that on Monday. I've seen him drop down to 50 in some places. He's going to be another popular bet this week. Break the bank, apparently, if Reed or Wolf win, and Bryson, because I think everyone's betting Bryson besides me. But Wolf, those are the big 6, the 6-pack this week for the Northern Trust. I got my one bomb in. Kevin Na is just simply underpriced. He's a top 40 player in the world. He's won 3 events in the past 2 years. He's 200-1. So I bet him with a top 5 each way at 200-1. And of course, my FOMO bets got off Siwoo last week. Gave me a scare. I do like him for this course, though, but he's back to 90-1. So see, Kim, welcome back to the squad with the top 5 each way. And Luke List, I mean, he'll lose like 28 strokes putting, but he's 225-1. And I played him with the top 5 each way. Top 20 bets, Na plus 425. The Gooch plus 700, so that's 7-1. And Seb Straka plus 850 for the top 20 first-round leaders, all played with a top 5 attached to them. Kevin Streelman, Seb Straka, Keegan Bradley, 125-1. The Gooch, 150-1. Killa Keith Mitchell, 175-1. And the inventor of basketball, Matthew Neesmith, the Knights who say Neesmith, 250-1 with the top 5 each way. The one and dones, I have Rory McIlroy. Jeff has Bryson DeChambeau. And the Cust has put the Cust on Justin Thomas this week, former winner at this event, by the way. DraftKings, the biggest news coming out of it right now, Brooks Koepka withdrew this morning. So he was lingering as the 11th highest priced player in the DraftKings system. The projected ownership on him wasn't all that high to begin with because no one wanted a piece of Brooks. He was around like 4 to 7%. He was going to be in that range, and people are going to still have him at like 1% in their lineups because they don't hear the news. But he's not playing. Do not use Brooks. But it's not like anyone's going to see a huge boost anywhere else. It's not like, oh, Brooks isn't playing, watch out for Jason Day, he's going to have major ownership. Turns out Jason Day is probably going to be the highest owned guy anyway. This might even just add on to that a little bit, but there's not that much ownership to go around from Brooks, and this will eliminate him from the FedEx Cup playoffs as the top 70 players will move on to the BMW Championship. I believe he's currently 91st in the standing, so he done. Next time we're going to see Brooks, I'm guessing, is the U.S. Open. Maybe if he's feeling better with the knee, he'll play at Silverado, the first event of the swing season, which is after the Tour Championship, but before the U.S. Open to maybe get some reps in. That's the Brendan Steele Open, if you may remember. I think Cameron Champ won there last year. But either way, Brooks is done until the next major. So go get yourself healthy, Brooks. Come back, and unfortunately, his odds won't change for majors. He'll still be like 12 to 1, even though he's like 33 to 1 at every other tournament. So we'll see how that ends up going. Pay attention to the futures. DraftKings ownership right now, and again, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off to see everything. From the 10K plus range, Morikawa and Bryson seem to be leading the charge. DJ and Rory seem to be the two lowest owned of that bunch. Day and Xander Schauffele will likely be the two highest owned of the 9K range. Depending on Fantasy National, Reed is overweighted right now in terms of what his ownership percentage is going to be. I don't expect him to be the 20% that is being projected right now. I would say it probably comes in closer to 15 or 16. He's going to be popular, but not mega chalk like Jason Day. The public, just looking in this range and just from historic DraftKings ownership context, Xander is always going to outperform whatever his projected ownership is because people love playing Xander Schauffele. So he's projected right now at 14%. I would expect him to be a bit higher. Him and Rahm are going to be right around the same, probably 17, 18%. Rahm is becoming the guy this week that everyone said, hey, we're not going to play this guy, and then everyone ends up playing him anyway. Webb is the really sneaky one here. If you wanted to pivot onto Webb, he does seem like a good tournament play. I don't love Webb objectively. I'm not using him, but if you wanted to take a stand somewhere at the top, pivoting off of Cantlay or Reed or Rahm or Xander or Day onto Webb, he appears like he's going to be the lowest owned of those guys. Other high percentage players this week, Norlander looks like he's going to be the 6K chalk. That tends to happen with Henrik Norlander. Cameron Davis. At least stat model people will love Cameron Davis this week. I like Cameron Davis as well. I'm not using him, but So Cameron Davis and Henrik Norlander, maybe nah, but people just hate playing Kevin Na despite the fact that he's in the 6K range because he might withdraw and then you don't want to take a 0 in your lineup. I get it, but those are the risks you might have to take. The other top-owned guys, Finau, Berger, Matthew Wolff, like I mentioned, Victor Hovland still projects to carry a lot of ownership. So those are the guys. I don't think anyone's an overall ownership fade this week. Play the guys you like. Go along your way. If you want to play like 20, 40, 50, 150 lineups, then you can start looking at the ownership pivots. I just wouldn't take the 6 most popular guys of the week and throw them into a lineup, as that will just get you duplicated. Just make one pivot somewhere along the line. Maybe pivoting off of Wolff is the move. I really like Wolff a lot this week, but all of the other guys in his range project to be way lower owned. Wolff got it 17% right now. Horschel at 10, Fowler at 7, Woodland at 7, Spieth at 5. Even Answer at 12%, Im coming in sub 10, coming in at sub 10. So there are guys to move to if you want to, who probably have exactly the same win equity as someone like Matthew Wolff. I just like the stats for Matthew Wolff. I like how he's playing right now, and I just project him to be a really good player. And I think with his irons firing as well as they are at the moment between Memphis and the PGA Championship, if he can roll that over, this is an awesome setup for him if he can utilize his distance properly. So I really like Matthew Wolff. If you want to pivot off of him, completely understand that. Weather for TPC Boston. It turns out it's not in Boston. It's in like Norton or something like that. No wind finder towers like anywhere near the course. The one proximity-wise, which is the closest, is the Pawtucket / North Central State. So I had to do like the actual go to Norton and look what the weather is. It doesn't seem like there's going to be any distinct advantage on either side. That can always change, and it could pop up out of nowhere. However, I wouldn't be constructing lineups that way. The only trick I would have this week, if you're playing round 1 or round 2 showdown, is the percentage just based on birdie rate and eagle rate of the holes of starting on the back 9 for showdown purposes to garner that birdie streak on DraftKings. You'd want the guys starting on hole 10. So in the first round, the big names starting on hole 10, you got Berger, Rory, Brendan Todd are all starting on the 10th tee in round 1, as are Thomas, Morikawa, and Webb Simpson. Who else? We got Tiger. You can just go look up the tee times. It's probably the easiest way to do it. Finau is also starting on the back. So there's a lot of decent players on both days, which will be starting there. And it's only a slight advantage. I mean, it's not something that most people are going to seek out, but holes 17, 18, 1, and 2 are all pretty easy. Hole 3 tends to be pretty difficult, one of the 3 hardest holes on the course. So it's not like you can't birdie it, but the percentages of birdieing 3 in a row of those other 4 holes are much higher, and you can only get access to that if you have the wraparound from those holes by starting on the 10th tee. So that would be the one trick that I would be looking at this week. Smash the like button if you're watching currently. And let's get to the chat. I don't think it's going to be a super long chat this week, to tell you the truth, just because I don't think there's that much interest in this tournament. But, Pat, this is from Risk Nerd. Is there a term? If not, there should be, for when a player that you've rostered double bogeys the 18th hole on Friday to miss the cut, a la Chez. There is no term for that. I'm willing to brainstorm this, maybe at a later date, but I do like the idea. It's almost like the full Keegan, but for the cut line. I'm in on that. Kyle asks, Cantlay, Webb projected ownership. Cantlay in the mid-teens. Webb probably just over 10%. Maybe dips below if that ends up being the case. Is Cantlay the next Kuchar? A guy who wins a lot of money and is high in the rankings, but never wins and rarely contends at major. I think it's probably too soon to call him the new Kuchar. He very well could be, but I just think his upside is so much higher than that. And you can't say the guy never wins. He has 2 wins in 2 years. It's not at the rate that Justin Thomas wins, but when Justin Thomas is winning all the tournaments, it's tough for anyone else to win the tournament. So Cantlay will have his moment. Finau will have his moment. All these guys are going to have their moment. It's just you need to be patient with this stuff. Fuck, it took Phil, 20 years to win a major? Then he won a whole bunch. Like, I wouldn't be writing off Ricky yet or anything like that. Just the longer it goes on, the more pensive you become wanting to bet these guys. But the price on Cantlay is actually quite good this week. I don't mind it at all. It's not exactly for me since I ended up taking Reed in that spot, but I could easily go the other way on it and decide, hey, you know what? This is exactly where I want to be. I'm going to tweet out the show right now so people can get their questions in. And I'll schedule one for 1:03 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm actually doing a giveaway on my Twitter feed right now if you have any interest in that sort of thing. Free Millionaire Maker tickets for Week 1 NFL. That contest stops in around 17 minutes if you're watching this live. If you go to @thepme on Twitter, you can just find it by clicking my profile. Going down, you'll see the giveaway. I have 100 tickets to give away. So this is actually one of the higher percent chance of winning this. I think already 3,000 people are in it. So it's not a high percentage that you're going to win this random draw, but better than when I give out the 20 tickets in the course of the week. So you have 5 times the chance of actually winning this one as opposed to a normal week. So I would go check that out right now if you want to go do that. Joe Fallon is giving me his picks. There's rules of the chat. I don't care what you think about what your comments are. This is for questions for me. No commenting on other people's stuff. I don't give a shit about your picks. You will be banned for life if I catch you doing this. Smash the like button while you're out there too. Liard Villa says, thoughts on Hatton this week? I bet him to win, so I like Hatton. We can just stop it right there. Pat. But Xander Schauffele this week, he's getting no love. Understand that he's highly priced, but I feel a win coming. If you feel a win coming, you should bet him to win. But in no planet should Xander have worse odds than Morikawa, which he does. You'll find Xander around 18-1 or 20-1, where you'll find Morikawa at around 22-1 or 25-1. Like, even being the same odds makes no sense to me at this point. But when you say that Xander gets no love, people love betting on Xander. People love using Xander on DraftKings. It happens every single week. He is the guy that no one talks about, but everyone just has in the back pocket that they're going to play, always. Fleetwood was like this. People are starting to get out on Fleetwood, but Xander has remained steadfast. And it's not like he's playing poorly. He's playing quite well. He's just not breaking through and putting together all 4 rounds. It's a lot like he's kind of the better version of Cantlay right now, where Cantlay is putting together 2 really good rounds and 2 shitty rounds. Xander's doing like the 3-1, which is the old school Tommy Fleetwood method. Can you briefly explain the different ways to construct betting cards and the different strategies behind them? That's going to take hours. Just bet who you like. How about that? I'm not a professional gambler. I just like to bet. Some weeks I bet more. Some weeks I bet less. If I have a better feeling about a tournament, I'm going to go heavier on it. If I have a bad feeling about it, I'm going to go less on it. Like, that's all personal preference to you. With Brooks out, what does this do to his ownership? I already answered that. You can go back to the beginning of the show. Reed and Hatton or Berger and Fowler? Reed and Hatton for me. Why no love for Bubba? Here's the thing. I am actually using Bubba Watson this week. I haven't projected around 2% ownership. I don't ever feel good about Bubba, but the ball striking has been like on point for him. It's just a crapshoot with Bubba every single week. He's performed well occasionally at this tournament in the past. So I just thought that he was a nice leverage play. When I talk about pivots, Bubba, if I'm going to use a lot of chalk from the top, which I am doing, that someone like Bubba as your last man in down at his price point is maybe a route that you want to go. At the PGA Championship, gain 3.3 strokes off the tee, gain 1.6 on approach, gain 4.2 off the tee. In Memphis, lost 3 on approach, but the ball striking was positive at the 3M. The ball striking was positive at Memorial. He's just had a lot of bad run with his putter since the restart has happened. He's gained strokes twice on the greens and lost strokes 7 times. He's been playing a lot of golf. It's nice to see him finally take a week off at the Wyndham, then come back for this week. But I just think he makes so many birdies, so many eagles, gives himself so many opportunities. He generally outperforms his placement, if he can get through the cut, in DraftKings versus where he ends up on the leaderboard. So I think that he's actually like a high percentage upside play from that low $7,000 area. I believe I used him in 20% of my lineups. And diversify a little bit. I'm going to be majorly overweight on Bubba, so I didn't feel a need to bet him in that kind of thing. McCarthy, Gooch, and Griffin, sub 10K. I like the Gooch the best of that bunch. Although if McCarthy can keep hitting these irons like this, it's just doomsday for the rest of the field. The guy's the best putter of like the past 100 years of golf. And the fact that he can actually hit a wedge now, watch out for old Denny McCarthy. But I could see that flying back the other way. Pat, what do you think of Spieth's ownership? Spieth course suitability fit is rated number 1. I don't know what the fuck that means. I would say no to that. I would say that when Spieth was good, this course set him up really well. Spieth, no longer good. Doesn't really have great courses anymore. He's a bad driver of the ball. You're a bad driver of the ball, not a great course for you. The fairways are wide. Yes, you get off the fairway, you're fucked. So watch out. I think his ownership will be like 5%. He's a nice leverage play if you want to go with him. I just don't have the guts to go do it. Steelers or Burns? I'm using neither this week. Good weather this week, maybe some rain on Sunday. Will Tiger be a good play? Yeah, I think that Tiger is going to be a decent play here. I'm not going to use him because I like other guys in that range better, whether it be Finau, whether it be Berger, whether it be Hideki, or even Hatton and Rose at the bottom of the 8,000. There's only so many guys that you can take from inside that range. But Tiger's irons have been firing. Can he get the putter going? He's using another new putter this week. Maybe that will help. I don't know. And the driving actually looked quite good at the PGA Championship. That was encouraging to see. I might actually like him a little bit better at Olympia Fields next week, but he's won this tournament in the past, years ago, mind you. But it seems like he is rounding into form. We know that he's only playing for the big events. He's playing for the FedEx Cup. He's playing for the U.S. Open. He's playing for the Masters. That's it. That is what he is gearing up his game to do. But it does seem like he's getting closer and closer to not necessarily peak Tiger, but in a spot where he can go contend and go win on a Sunday. So I don't hate Tiger this week. He's just not for me in my player pool. Congrats on the new media venture. Well, thank you, Donald. If you want to subscribe so you don't miss any of the Pat Mayo experiences, go to the description of this video. There is a link to the Mayo Media Network. Go sub to it now. No videos up there right now because it's going to happen in the next few weeks. Answer or Kisner this week for a GPP? I would go with Abraham Answer. Something that's popped into my mind. I put this out on Twitter this morning as I put out a to make the cut parlay. You can check my Twitter feed for that. That was just more for fun. Just who's going to shit in my apple pie, as the guys from the Dogger Pass podcast say. Who's going to be the one safe guy that fucks everything up? Happens every single time. There's a 13-person to make the cut parlay. I wanted to throw something together because there's only now 124 players in this field. It's one of the smaller fields that we've seen in some time. And the discrepancy between the top end and the bottom end in terms of talent is quite large when you think about the FedEx Cup standings as a whole and the type of players that got into this field. So I think that there are some good players. I mean, the Masters is really the only place you should ever play it to make the cut parlay because it is a super small field. Anyone within 10 shots in the top 50 and ties all make the cut, and it's just not priced properly. This one is priced like all the other weeks, so there is a little bit of value versus those weeks. There's probably no actual line value in it, but comparatively to the PGA Championship or even the Wyndham, there is this week. So you can go check that out on my Twitter feed. But I thought about the last 4 winners of this event. You have Bryson, you have Justin Thomas, you have Ricky Fowler, and Rory McIlroy. 3 of those guys have won at Quail Hollow in their career. And Bryson's actually put up some nice showings at Quail Hollow in the past, too. Webb Simpson, someone who typically plays well at Quail Hollow, has won at this tournament as well. Phil has actually won them both too, I think. But that's going way, way back. But in the recent past, three of the past 4 winners have won Quail Hollow within the past 10 years. So I didn't even think about that as a correlation course. Maybe it's not. But at the same time, Justin Rose has a bunch of like seconds and top 10s at Quail Hollow. He has a second and a top 10 at this course. 2, Patrick Reed, someone who came top 5 at the PGA Championship at Quail Hollow. He had 3 consecutive top 10s from 2015 to 2017 at TPC Boston. So there could be some correlation. The last 2 winners at Quail Hollow, Max Homa, with Joel Damon in second place, and Jason Day, who everyone loves this week, so you can just kind of ride that correlation. There also is a somewhat correlation between courses that Jason Day plays well at and courses Justin Rose plays well at. Those guys tend to match up a lot of the time when you're looking at people. Just thought I'd throw out that nugget. You can go see the leaderboards. I posted those on Twitter as well, or you can just become a member at fantasynational.com/Mayo for 20% off, and you can easily find that information like that, along with everything else. For Telly or Neiman, I would go with Neiman this week. Favorite low-owned plays below 7,000 other than Nah. I gave those out on the show yesterday. It's like Straka and Gooch. That's about it. I don't think that you need to go down into the 6s this week. I played 20 lineups, so I did in some, but I tried to cap it around 7,000, 7,100. List was the other guy that I played below 6,000 because I'm a sucker. That's what I do. Hovland or Hatton? Hatton. Hovland 70-1, worth a look. If you like Hovland, go nuts. I just don't like the way his driving has just left him, and that was the best part of his game. Hopefully, he can, after his amazing run, he's lost strokes off the tee in 3 consecutive events. That worries me. I'd like to see him turn it around a little bit first, and maybe we go back to him next week. Who suits up better for TPC Boston, Xander or DJ? Probably DJ. DJ is coming in with like no ownership, so it would be DJ for me. More faith in Answer or Im this week? I'm using neither of those players this week, but it would probably be Im. Finau or Berger? Finau. Is there a place on Fantasy National to find the whole difficulty rankings for each course? Yeah, just click on the course and you can find the scorecard, and it has the whole difficulty rankings right there. I'm using Kisner for the third week in a row. Do I need help? I don't think so. Kisner paid off his price at the PGA Championship. He paid off his price last week at the Wyndham. You might as well ride the form while it's going. We know he can get hot on bent grass. Any Phil of this week has a couple top 10s. Phil should always be in the mix like Bubba. I try not to use them both in any one event because they can really ruin your week pretty quickly if you have both them in lineups. But I think Phil, like Bubba, is a player that generally outperforms his position DraftKings-wise, as opposed to the leaderboard, just because he makes so many birdies. He just happens to make a ton of bogeys as well. But I went with Bubba. Any love for your fellow Irishman, Shane Lowry? What would give you the inclination that I'm Irish? I guess Mayo from Mayo County could end up working that way, but not Irish. Either way, Lowry's fine. Burns me every single week that I use him, so I'm not using him this week. That's probably a good thing to know that he'll actually perform well. Is Adam Scott the play for sleeper win? There's a ton of people betting Adam Scott. He is definitely not a sleeper this week, but it's a good play. Who will still be around contending in 5 years? Hovland, Wolf, Scheffler, or Morikawa? Probably all of them. Morikawa, obviously he's won the major. I think that overall, if Hovland can figure out his putting, that he might end up being the best player of the bunch. But I think that Morikawa and Hovland might be on a separate tier. Wolf just slightly below them. Then Scheffler very close to Wolf. But all 4 of those guys are probably top 20 players in the world 5 years from now. Feelings on Tiger being 220 this week? Don't know what that means. Bad question. Give your head a shake. Oh, that's from Tim Anderson? Cuss, what are you doing, pal? Fucking figure it out. What makes you choose Wolf over Answer in that price range? Just the recent form. And Wolf's a better player than Answer. Answer's been more consistent, but if I'm thinking about upside I'm going to go with Matthew Wolff. I think that he probably has a higher crash and burnout rate for this tournament, but I think he also has a better chance to win this tournament overall. And he's just been playing better. Most cussed player this week. Probably Justin Thomas. He is Xander cursed. Griffin, Redmond, English, Gooch. Question mark. There are players in this field. Fucking figure. We might have to cut this chat short.
Those guys aren't even really priced around each other, are they?
No, these questions are horrible. 3 more horrible questions and I'm out of here. Fucking figure it out, people.
It does say good questions.
Yeah.
Leave good questions.
Good questions. Like one, should I play this guy or this guy? Just not a fucking random assortment of names. What's wrong with you? Thoughts on Tom Lewis? There's a good question. I'm out on Tom Lewis this week. Thank you. Answer seems like a perfect fit here, but haven't seen anyone on him. Any reason not to like him this week? This is now, Paul, what, the 15th answer question in the first 20 minutes of the show? No one's talking about Answer. What about Answer? I haven't heard anyone talk about Answer. People fucking love Answer. What's wrong with you?
Answer's the guy I think shits in your apple pie.
He's on that to make the cut part.
No, I know. That was the guy I was looking at.
Well, I also played it as it's a 13 leg to make the cut parlay. I also played it I played it 12 times or 13 times 12 ways or however 11 times 12 ways.
So if one guy shits in the apple pie, he doesn't shit in all the pies.
Exactly. So 2 guys are going to end up ruining it for me.
Yeah.
How many players are you using in the 10K range? I'm using 2, Morikawa and Rory this week. Leishman worth a shot at 125 to 1. You'd be surprised how many guys are worth a shot at whatever their price is. Do you like them enough to bet them? Then bet them. How about that? Pat, why not Adam Scott over Rose this week? Probably already been through that. That's a pure ownership play for me. And I like Justin Rose better. He's performed better at this course. Adam Scott has won at this course. That was in 2003. It's almost 2 decades ago. Rose is going to be like 4% owned. Scott's going to be like 17% owned. So that's an actual ownership play for me. And the odds are better in terms of the betting market. Tiger, Tiger 5 tournaments in FedEx Cup, still top 50. You think he makes Tour Championship? Sure. Haven't heard much about Hubbard this week, playing pretty well. Thoughts? Hubbard should make the cut, should move on. I hope he does. I like Hubbard. But he's a bit outclassed in this field. And you'll see a couple guys every year during the FedEx Cup playoffs, during the first or second round. Guys from that bottom get hot. It's usually better to play them the second week because they tend to keep it going because they're in good form. Hubbard's in pretty decent form. He just makes a lot of bogeys. And this is a huge step up in field class, like I said. I think he did make the cut at the PGA Championship, which is nice, but he couldn't really do anything against elite fields. He's a better weak field player. Haven't heard much about... joined late. What are your thoughts on Gary Woodland? His off-the-tee game is fixed to the point where he can do well. I think he's on the make-to-cut parlay. Don't love him as an outright. If you want to use him on DraftKings, you should get low ownership. I haven't used him, but I do see positive signs for old Gary. It's funny to say something like, I like him as prospects for the U.S. Open better than I do this week, which is just insane to think. But I do think he does set up really well if he actually has fixed his both distance and accuracy off the tee, which looks like he may have. Thoughts on Finau? Good course fit? Finau fits every fucking course. What's wrong with you? Paul?
Here's the thing with Finau, guys. He's not going to win. He's not going to win. We have Jeff on the show every single week. We laugh about it. He's not going to win. If he gets a whiff, just even a taste of that lead on the weekend, he's just going to blow it up. There's a lot of water on this course?
No. Not a ton of water.
Put it in the woods. Tony. His knees start shaking. The guy's a choker.
DraftKings-wise, he's a good price. He doesn't need to win to be a good DraftKings play this week. So I like him on DraftKings.
Top 5, top 10 Tony.
Yeah, top 5 Tony. Bet him top 5 if you want. You get decent odds on his top 5. What are Cameron Champ's... What is this question? What are Cameron Champ's chances this week? Top 10 pick? I would say that in the probability of the market, that Cameron Champ has around an 8-1 chance to finish inside the top 10. How about that? Any love for Usti? Not for me, but Ulrich was talking him up on the show because he's Jeff Ulrich. At least Jeff has Usti as his FOMO guy that he just bets and plays every week. Mine's like Luke List, which is not good. So Usti's much better than Luke List. Although, Paul, I might join you and play that Fratelli over Usti, low South African plus 170. It seems like, seems high.
In defense of your boy List, he has won in North America.
That is true. This year, too. Just happened to be on a different tour. Thoughts on Lanto? He's under 7K, tends to do well when he's in the 6K. Agree. I'm just not on him. You can use Delonte, though. He's fine. Poulter getting much ownership? Nope. Any take on Answer? He's done well at this course. Yeah. Everyone likes Answer this week. I hate to tell you. Thoughts on Jason Day? He's going to be the most popular player on DraftKings. Also, HV3 or Doc Redman? I prefer HV3 to Doc Redman. Thoughts on Gary Woodland? Or Im? I would play Woodland over Im. Noren or Damon? Probably Damon this week. Finau or Reed? I would go Patrick Reed. Thoughts on Griot? It plays well at this course, just not for me. Thoughts on Norlander? Going to be probably the highest owned guy in the 6Ks. I like him fine. Didn't make my player pool, but I bet you'll be making a lot of people's players pool. It seems to really work out well. Do Damon and Fratelli correlate to this course? Both riding good form. I mean, I think we need to pump the brakes on correlation of courses in terms of player skill set. If Damon plays well, he should play great at this course. If Damon plays like he did at the workday, he's going to miss the cut by 18 strokes. So pick your poison when it comes down to it. Billy Ho popping some key stats on Fantasy National. Any thoughts on him doing well back to back? I can see it. Billy Ho's got hot through the FedEx Cup playoffs in the past. This is a ball strikers course, so there's a correlation. I mean, if anyone ball strikes well, they should play well. Billy Ho just tends to ball strike well at a higher rate than a lot of these guys. He's someone I can definitely see doing well. Hideki or Casey? Hideki. Any left for ZJ in this field, potentially paired with the long hitters? I don't know why his pairings would matter whatsoever. He's riding good form. It seems like his ball striking is back. The putting is pretty good. He's not my optimal play for this course. If you want to go to ZJ, I can't really talk you out of it. I just prefer other players to him. How is Noren's form and ball striking coming into the week? Do you like him this week? I feel like his ball striking is being masked because it's not all that great versus what his results have actually been. He's been very good on the greens. He's been very good around the greens. He's actually lost strokes on approach in 7 of his past 8 tournaments. The off the tee has been getting better. Yeah, he played really well at 3M. He was T19 at the PGA Championship, gained 0.3 strokes off the tee, gained 3.5 putting, 3.5 around the greens. That is a pretty unsustainable way to do well. It's almost like the mirror image of what he did at RBC Heritage. Drop strokes off the tee, drop strokes on approach, gained over 3.5 in both around the green and putting. Now, the guy's a pretty decent putter sometimes. He's pretty good around the green sometimes. But if you're not ball striking, I'll take a pass and live or die that you don't have the hottest putter in the field this week. Any stock in Hoffman as a cheap former winner? I mean, he did win in 2010, so let's be real about what his actual projection is. He's just not playing that well. He's not having a great year. I hope the best for old Charlie Hoffman, one of my favorites. I hope he can make the cut, but he's not going to do it for me. You think Doc can have solid back-to-back weeks? Yes. I think almost any player on the PGA Tour can have good weeks, 2 weeks in a row. Pat, who does Paul have as outright bets? Paul, who you betting?
I actually haven't bet anybody yet.
Haven't bet anyone.
I mean, I was waiting for Pat's card to come out, and then I got to go off of that. But I'm going to be away this weekend, so
yeah, don't even bother. You don't need to bet every week.
I won't be able to hedge out. I don't know. We'll see. I'll get on somebody. I think I missed some of the prices, though.
Yeah,
anyway.
Morikawa is still 22-1 where we just bet on Morikawa. Guy's going to win.
I know. I didn't tail you guys on the last win either.
Morikawa and Hatton. Those can be your 2 guys.
I like Hatton. I don't want to bet anybody at the top. I just don't typically do that.
Haven't heard anything about Matthew Fitzpatrick. Now, that actually is a guy that no one is talking about this week, as there haven't been 84 questions about him. He's a lot like Noren. He's better than Noren, but he's a lot like Noren that he just rides a hot putter sometimes and doesn't do anything well. But at the same time, if he can hit a ton of fairways, which he should be able to do, he does have these sporadic iron weeks where he just gets super in fuego. He's lost in consecutive events with his irons at the same. He lost 3.5 strokes with his irons at St. Jude and still came 6th. Now he gained 10 strokes putting. That wasn't good, or that was good, but that's not sustainable. So Workday, Memorial, and St. Jude. He came 27th, 3rd, and 6th. He gained 4.6 on the greens at Workday. He gained 8.1 in his third place finish at Memorial. Gained 10 at St. Jude. He lost 0.9 at the PGA Championship. Misses the cut. He can contend because the putter can get so hot. And he is one of the premier putters in the world. He really is. And that can bail you out of a bad approach week. But if it's one of the weeks where the putter isn't clicking right away, he's more likely than not to have a bad driving week or a bad approach week, and that completely takes him out of it, which makes him a higher risk to miss the cut. For pure upside purposes, if you can grab him at like 2.5%, 3%, and you're good with that, I think it's actually objectively a pretty good idea. I might have to reconstruct some of my lineups. I just don't have a bunch of guys in that. Like, I have a bunch of Hatton in that range, and I have a bunch of Rose in that range. I think I can look this up. I can do the details to figure out what percentage that I'm playing these guys at. So let me log in here and see my percentages of unique lineups. I think I have Hatton at around like 60% lineups this week and Rose at around 30%. So I can probably shed some ownership on those guys from my overall lines. I'm really trying to keep a tight core this week. So if my guys hit, then I'm going to be in the monies. But Hatton, 65% of lineups for me this week with Tyrrell Hatton in them. Justin Rose, 30%. So I can probably shed like 2 lineups with Hatton, 1 lineup with Rose, get down to 55 and 25% of those and move them on to Matthew Fitzpatrick. I don't think that's the worst idea in the world for the larger tournaments. Obviously, I don't have 20 lineups in every single contest that's coming up. Some of those are single entry. I think I have them all in the big 5. I think I played 5 of them in the 25. I'm just trying to get away from the larger field tournaments and really focus a lot on like my tournament. There's still spots in my tournament, by the way. You can find the link in the description of the video and podcast. Where it has not filled by Wednesday afternoon, they're going to make it smaller for next week. That's just the way that it's going to go. Golf is winding down too before it ramps up again with football coming along. It seems like people are losing interest in playing every single week. So instead of the $100,000, it was $100,000 of guaranteed rake-free money, and people stop filling it up super fast every single week, so they're just not going to offer $100,000 of rake-free money. It'll probably drop down to 5,000 spots next week if I had to guess, which is not great by any means. I wish we could have just filled it by Monday afternoon every single week, the first click that you have, but that's a 3 max, so maybe I will try to mix Fitzpatrick into the mix. Good question. That's a good question. That's something I hadn't really thought about. Alex Romero, shout out to you. I assume like the next 5 questions are, Abraham Answer is like a ghost this week. No one has ever talked about him ever. Is he the best player in the world? That's what I'm expecting the next question to be. Let's jump over to the Facebook chat. See what's happening over there on the Facebooks. Oh, leave good questions for Pat. I didn't even see that on the screen. Coke Rack spelled incorrectly or Poulter, low price. Who do you like? Neither. Bombers this week, Pat? I think that, Stenson's one here. That's why I like Morikawa so much. I don't think you need to be the biggest bomber in the world to compete this week. You need to have really good long irons, though. Why is no one talking about Rahm? People are talking about Rahm, trust me. Palmer, champ. I prefer Palmer 2 champ this week. Favorite under $6,500 is the Gooch under that. What's the Gooch at? The Gooch is at an even 65. Straka is the only guy that I'm playing. I played him in 3 of 20 lineups. Max leave on salary this week. I think I can do this right now. Let's see. 300, 400, 400. I had 1,300. 1,000 is the most I have left on the table. That's just from the generator because I set my stuff really low. I could probably shed Straka in that lineup, to tell you the truth, because apparently I had played 20% Straka. I will shed Straka right now in that lineup. Let's see. I'll make one of these my Matthew Fitzpatrick lineup. So add Matthew Fitzpatrick into that. That leaves me $7,000. Do I need another Kevin Na lineup? Ooh. Let's see. Did I play anyone at that number? Luke List? No, Luke List is already in that lineup. All right, another Kevin Na lineup it is. Maybe I can just go back down to Straka. Who knows? But there's one Matthew Fitzpatrick lineup. I got 2 more to make to give myself 15% exposure to him overall. This is fun. Do you think DJ is going to come in at low ownership? Yes, I do. Werenski over Straka or Gooch? I mean, if I told you I like 2 guys from that range, why would you think a guy I didn't name I would like over the 2 guys that I named? Serious question. Like, give your head a shake. What's wrong with you? Back to bad questions. Have you enjoyed no fans on the course? Not yelling. I miss them for the major, but I don't care either way. I think it adds a certain 2 big events. I do think that it adds something just to the viewing experience. And it does affect the players. I'm sure it does. But I've really not noticed a difference whatsoever. Like, if they never brought fans back ever again, it wouldn't bother me. So I think it's been fine. I watched golf on TV. I'm still able to watch it on TV. I think we get better camera angles now. I think that there's more that they can do to enhance just with all the room that they have. They could set up Steadicam shots on the greens and really give us full access. Apparently, the PGA Tour app is debuting a new leaderboard this week. We'll see how big of a disaster that is. But that would answer the question to why the Wyndham shot tracker was so fucked up last week. Maybe they were trying to implement some new things and just didn't worry about it to get the fix in for the FedEx Cup playoffs. Curious to see if that would happen. What number would Day have to be for you to bet him? Probably 40. He's at 22 now. He's probably the most popular bet this week. But 40 for me for Day. Yeah, even 30. Like he opened at 25, down to 22. Just seems like everyone's on him. He's one of those guys that the odds missed the boat on. Everyone missed the boat on because they liked him as a bet. He didn't win, but it crushed his odds anyway. That's always a shitty spot to be in. Kisner or English? English, but neither. Norlander or Hubbard? Neither. There's a question about the new PGA shot tracker. If you were to pivot off of Day, who is high ownership, who would you go around him? I would go to Reed, then Cantlay. Although Webb for a tournament pivot, objectively at low ownership, is probably a good idea. Stars and Scrubs or a more balanced lineup this week? I would say a more balanced lineup. If you could build a Stars and Scrubs where you didn't go below like $7,100, which is feasible, you can make that lineup. That would be the approach I would take, not two 10K guys and a bunch of 6K guys. You can go down to Nah, because Nah is underpriced this week. Under 7K, Kokrak or Connors? Neither. Is it irresponsible not to bet Hoffman first round leader? It didn't even occur to me to do that, but yeah, you could do it. Which one of these is due for the early withdrawal? Day or Nah? Probably Nah. Probably Day. He's still always holding his back every 20 seconds. Like every time he gets the ball out of the hole, he's gripping his back. Day and Reed or Bryson and Doc? Day and Reed. Dell Technologies' average winning score has been around 17 under. Who in this slate, in your opinion, is best for birdies out of the gate? There's all the best players in the world. They all are. Like everyone inside the top 30 in the world is very live to win this tournament and make a lot of birdies. If you want the objective answer to that of who makes the most birdies, at least who gives themselves the most opportunities to make birdies in this field over the last 2 months, if you're looking for sleepers, Henley, Wolf, Varner, Justin Thomas, Morikawa are your top 5 in opportunities gained over the past 2 months that are in this field. I'm using Henley this week, by the way. I like Henley. Maybe his putter's back for real. Homa or Fratelli? Homa. Burger ownership? I could see him sneakily pushing like 18%. Probably around 14, 15, but people might talk themselves because people hate playing Reed so much. So despite the fact that he's popular, people will be like, I hate Patrick Reed. I'm not using Patrick Reed. I'll use Daniel Hauser-Berger instead. Big gulps, huh? Well, see you later. Is pivoting Rahm this week a sensible play? He's going to be popular, so I don't know why you're pivoting onto him. If you like Rahm, play Rahm. If you don't like Rahm, don't play Rahm. Like I said, the 2 pivots from the higher end, Webb and DJ, if you want to go down that route. Pat, Xander and Neiman or Cantlay and Woodland? Cantlay and Woodland. See, ownership. How many lineups out of 20 do you have him in? How many lineups do I have old Si Woo in? Kim. Oh, God, I have him in 30% of lineups? That's not good. 30% this week. I'm going to try to drop that to 20 to go against my rule of never playing Si Woo on DraftKings. I like him this week. That's never going to turn out well. Piercy or Kokrak? Neither. Is Trevor Seaman a fantasy sleeper with Titans? Please don't ban me. Too late. That's a football question on a golf show. You're banned for life. No more questions. Ever again. Banned for life. That's one, Paul. How many strokes is Tiger winning by this week? None. Pat, what is the most you've won from a lineup? I think my best lineup ever was that 3rd place at the Heritage for 20K. I played $90 worth of lineups that week and turned it into 20K. Still up lifetime because of that. Still just donating it back a few at a time. Other than that, I think my second biggest one was 10K in a $100 single entry, but fun times. Lowry or McIlroy for low Irishman bet? I'd probably take Rory, but I wouldn't bet it because he's probably like minus 500. What is the bet on that? Is Graham not in the field? I mean, Rory's not even actually Irish. He's Northern Irish. He's a Brit. Or is he UK? He wouldn't be a Breton because that's not on the island. Let's see here. Low Irish. Are they even offering low Irish? Yeah, top Irish. Rory minus 400, Lowry plus 400, GMAC 10-1. I mean, if you think that GMAC has no chance, which, I mean, he can always play himself into contention like every 5 events or so versus these guys. Shane Lowry 4-1 over Rory is probably a pretty good bet. I'm probably not going to bet it, but if you wanted to parlay Shane Lowry 4-1, and where was low South African? Fratelli plus 162. You get 12-1 on that. I could dig that. I mean, one of them is just a straight up head to head, and if you cross off the other one, I mean, in a random tournament, no, it's not like a single round bet where almost anyone can win a single round. And I do really like Rory this week. That's not horrible odds if you wanted to play it. Guesses at top 3 most owned. Did that at the beginning of the show. Any Masters US Open futures you're looking to add? Not really. To be perfectly honest with you, I grabbed Rose at 50-1 to win the Masters a while ago. And I think he's like probably dropped back down to 50-1. I would bet that. I do think that he's gearing up for these big events. He always plays the Masters really well. And I think that his baseline is better than his results have been. So I'm just curious to see. He's still dealing with the new club change too. So I picked up Bryson at 50 to win the Masters. That number no longer exists. And I have Justin Thomas to win the Masters at 20-1 from earlier in the year. Like, I think those are all good bets. Those are all going to beat the number. For the U.S. Open, I have Fleetwood to win at 33-1, which is a horrible bet because he's probably like 100-1 at this point. But who else do I have to win the U.S. Open? I hadn't really put much thought into it because I haven't really done a deep dive on Wingfoot. I know that Justin Thomas had I can go look up who I actually have bet. I think it's just Fleetwood for the moment. I'd be curious to see what happens to Brooks's number. I doubt it will drop enough where I care to that point. But if I scroll through, let's see. Tommy Fleetwood. No, I have Danny Willett currently to win the U.S. Open at 150-1 with that each way. That's it, though. Oh, I also have Sebastian Munoz because they hung a really bad number on him to win the Masters. I know he's a debutant, but they gave me 2,500-1. That number no longer exists. I think it's like 300-1 now. It's not. Listen, it's probably a losing bet, but I was able to grab the top 5 each way with it, which will pay me, 625-1 if he somehow finishes inside the top 5. There's only 90 guys in the field. Could work out. Probably not going to be a winner, but you don't normally see. That was worse odds than Mike Weir had. So that number also no longer exists. I'm reading everywhere about Alex Noren making the top 10. Your thoughts? Already went over that. No for me. Who did Andercuss take this week? I mean, you got to watch the show. Come on, people. Hey, Pat, this show is literally the best. Thank you, Ethan. I agree. Morikawa or Schauffele? It's Morikawa, man. I bet one of them, and I talked about how one of them is bad odds. Morikawa is the play. Pat, notice your love for Siwoo ATM. Can grab Siwoo at 200 for U.S. Open on a couple UK books. Thoughts? Yeah, I mean, I'll be betting him at the U.S. Open. Guy needs to win to get out of military service, and if he's going to be playing this well, I'd like for him to hit some more fairways, but it just all clicks or it doesn't. He's the Ricky Bobby. So, yeah, I don't mind him at 200. You probably get better odds on him. Like, if he sucks this week, he'll go to 300 instantaneously. No one's odds drop out of nowhere like Siwoo's. I have Finau in 7 of my 10 lineups. Is that bad? Not if he plays well, then it's probably not enough. Thoughts on your Canadian brother, Mackenzie Hughes? Banned for life! Don't ever fucking ask me about Mackenzie Hughes. That's a rule of the chat. Mackenzie Hughes. He's going to make like 5 100-foot birdie putts when I have bets against him. Fucking Mackenzie Hughes. Seems like a good enough guy, but just kills me with the way that he makes birdies. Does the Brooks WD allow Sangmoon Bae to get into the field? No. Can we integrate a Pat versus Tim versus Jeff DK contest to each tournament? Nah, no. Like, that's just more work for me to do, and I don't feel like doing more work. Sucks you only seem to have top each way. You tend in the UK. It's funny. I agree. It'd be nice to have the top 8 instead of the top 5. For majors, it usually goes to top 8, but then the UK usually goes to like top 10 or top 12. But then you have a lot of the Americans who have no access to each ways, and they're envious of the top 5. So eventually we'll all get on the same page, I think. It's just betting has been legalized in the UK for so long that they have like established markets and they have to offer these things in order to get everything. The only difference I will say is that most of those UK each ways are 1/5 each ways, where the top 5 is 1/4 of the odds instead of 1/5 of the odds. But I'd rather pay the top 5 to get the top 8, to tell you the truth. Decky or Burger? Decky. Hello, Pat. Watching all the way from South Africa. All right. How are things going down there? I actually have no clue what's going on in South Africa at the moment, but thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I have no idea what the time is there either. Answer or see woo, Kim. See woo. Come on now. Smash the like button. I agree. I agree to smash the like button. Best plays from the lowest price. I already went over those. Come on now. Give your head a shake. Any loves for T-Dunks this week? Nah. Tuned in late. Should I be banned for life? No, you can tune in late. Just don't ask the question that's been asked 500 times. I'll do a 3-minute warning on everything right now. 4 questions. Seems like we're to the end of the questions. Not a lot of interest. I think people are kind of burnt out on going hard at golf every single week. But last call for questions. Okay, let's see here. How about CT Pan at 200-1 last week? Top 10, completely disappearing over the weeker. You were on this. I liked Pan last week because I like him at the Wyndham. I like him at these short courses, Wyndham and Heritage. This doesn't really feel like a good course for him, although the irons have been firing for CT Pan. The rest of his game has been absolute dog shit. But I'd be off of him if I feel this. Favorite Starbucks order? I get black coffee every single time. Black dark roast coffee. That's it. Read or burger? Read for me. So yeah, if people are out of questions, I'll tune back into Facebook one more time to see what's going on down there. Snedeker or Mickelson? Pass. Who do you think will be the lowest owned of Rahm, McIlroy, and DeChambeau or Berger? Wonder why Berger is on that. He's nowhere near that same price. Of those guys, Rory. Thoughts on Ryan Palmer? Decent fit. It's a pass for me. For a $20 donation, can I get a picture of myself in your background? You're going to have to pay a whole lot more than that. I've had people offer me thousands of dollars for that, and no is the answer to it. Maybe if you want $5,000, you can buy a spot for 6 months on the Pat Mayo Experience background in the video. But if you just want a shout out from Pat Mayo or me to talk shit to anyone in your golf league or your fantasy football league, I signed up for Cameo because it seems like free money. So cameo.com/thepme. You can just get a request for a video from me, or just ask me a question. I can answer it for you. It costs money, though. So if you're into spending money frivolously, spend it on a Pat Mayo cameo. I can just yell, see, woo, right at you, and you can have that recorded for life. Any other questions? Will Rory be less owned than Morikawa, making him the better play? Well, I think Morikawa is going to win, so I don't care what his ownership is. I'm using him. But I think objectively, if you don't think that if you have no real feel about them, then yeah, sure. Rory would be the better play. He is more expensive, though. Keegan Bradley thoughts from Mass. Well, I mean, everyone wins in their hometown. Everyone knows that. He's fine. I bet him his first round leader. That's enough for me. Thoughts on Harris English? He's fine. He should make the cut. How about that? Bryson, Webb, or Cantlay? I would take Cantlay. I want a Cust cameo. I can't go. I don't know when the next time I'm going home is, but next time I see Cust, I'll put it out on Cameo that I'm around Cust, and I'll give him some of the cash, and you can get a Cust cameo through me. Oosthuizen and Neiman ownership. Both pretty low would be my guess. What is Louis? Louis around 7%. Neiman, who I am using this week, by the way, is around 6%. Both around the same. I think we need to come up with a bet at the 2021 DFS Open between you and Kenny Kim on who does better with steel this week. I don't give a shit. You make your own fucking bets. Like, what you're offering bets to me that you're not a part of? Go fuck yourself. What book do you use with no dead heat rules? I'm betting outside of Canada. Well, I don't know. I think you should use DraftKings Sportsbook to make all your bets, regardless of what everything is. Pat, how do you decide which lineups you're going to pick for your single entry contest? I generate probably around 40 lineups on Fantasy National. Then I take my favorite 20 of those and I just look at them and say, hey, I like this lineup the best. I think this has the best balance. I tend to play more balance in single entry than stars and scrubs. But that's me. I think other people have a lot of success. If you were to bet one guy at the top of the top guys, who would it be? I mean, I'm betting Morikawa, so Morikawa would be my play. If you mean below that, it would be Rory, who I'm using as my one and done this week. Lowry or Oosthuizen, I would use Lowry. Bryson and Straka, or Finau and Decky in 3-max. I'd use Finau and Decky. Ricky a bit underpriced as a former winner? No, Ricky's probably overpriced, tell you the truth. Im or Champ? Im. Is playing Morikawa, Day, Finau, and Wolf too much chalk? I mean, it depends on what you do with your last 2 spots. I think all 4 of those guys are going to be 4 of the highest owned players on DraftKings this week. However, use Bubba with them, and all of a sudden, no one else is going to have that lineup besides like me. Although I'm not using Day. I'm full fade on Day, but I have the other 3 guys. Why don't you like Kisner this week? I don't like him. I would prefer the better players in the field this week. Scheffler or Champ? Scheffler. Link to Listeners League does not go to regular place. Cannot sign up. No, it goes to a different place now because I switched podcast providers, but you can still get the link there. You're just not looking hard enough. So thanks for your irrelevant question. When can we play DraftKings Fantasy League? Won't let us outside of the U.S. In South Africa? I actually don't know. I actually have no idea. That is not as well above my pay grade. I am not a DraftKings employee, so I don't actually have this inside information. In fact, they're not allowed to tell me certain things because I'm not an employee. So I'm left in the dark on a lot of this stuff. I generally find out the exact same time they post it on Twitter as everyone else. Quit being a company shill. No way. Play DraftKings. Bet on DraftKings. That's what you should be doing. Always with DraftKings. I don't even think other places exist. Just DraftKings. If you've answered this, please ignore it, but where do you see Brooks's ownership going? That was like the first thing I addressed on the show. You can just hit rewind. Hovland or Wolf? Wolf this week. I'll take 30 seconds more of questions if you want to pile them in right now. If not, I'll start doing the spiel to get out of here. Paul, you have a question.
FMK. Luke List, Siwoo Kim, Colin Morikawa.
This week or in general?
In life, who warms the cockles of your heart?
Well, the fuck is definitely Siwoo. Like that's not
got
even,
that ass, really.
That's not even a question. Like that guy is all in or all out, but he'd give you the best fuck of your life. Yeah, listen, I'm only lasting like 15 seconds anyway. I'm a married man at this point. It's not like I'm out banging every week. I mean, back in the Tinder days when it was like an every night thing, you get that stamina way up. You know, when you're married with 2 kids at this point, it's just like, I'm too tired. Marry Colin Morikawa. That guy's going to be a cash cow for life. So I got to kill poor Luke List. Sorry, Luke. Make a putt, Luke, and we'll talk about it. Hideki and Kim or Day and Damon? Hideki and Kim. What handicap are you playing off, Pat? Like, what is my handicap? I've played 2 rounds of golf this year, so I bet you my handicap's like 35 at the moment. Not good. Thoughts on Tommy Fleetwood's new putting stroke? It's the best part of his game right now. Hopefully he can like establish his ball striking a little bit before we get to major season. That would be nice to see. Mark Hubbard is a massive sleeper. All right, if you think so, State of Golf, you use all the Mark Hubbard in the world. Hubba Hubbard is the way that's going. That is the last question in the chat right now. Smash the like button on the way out. If you want to hit the description of this video or podcast, you will find a link to the Mayo Media Network. All of these shows will be migrating over there soon. So go subscribe to it now. Then all of a sudden, shows are going to start popping up there. But I don't want you to think that you're tuning in here and think the show is like gone extinct or something like that. It's not. But it'll just be over there. So the link is in there. Please go subscribe to that now. That really does help me out in the launch of a new network with new shows and different sorts of content over there is something that I need your help with and help spreading the word. By subscribing to it right now does me a massive service. So please, even if I've told you to go fuck yourself today, please go do that for me. Also smash the like button for the video and rate, review the audio podcast 5 stars. These are all just very easy, quick things you can do to help out the show so I can come back and do more shows with everything. I got 3 more here, Paul, before we're on our way out. Scheffler or Day? Day. Favorite pick under 7K? Nah. Is it really your birthday? No, it is not. I don't recall saying it was my birthday. DJ or Morikawa? Morikawa. Bunga. You can go to dknation.com to find all my cheat sheets as well. UFC tomorrow. I released a fantasy football show with Jake about all the latest news this morning. You can check that out. Week 1, DraftKings pricing, the first look, that's coming out soon. We got Cuss Corners to come at you. We have win total shows to come at you. We got a lot of shit going on in the next 3 weeks. And then it's full-time football and full-time golf. And my head is probably going to fucking explode, but I am going to enjoy every single minute of it until I pass out or like have skin failure or something like that. Anyway, I'm Pat Mayo. Good luck this week. I'll see you next time.